What's up, YouTube? Good to see you again on this beautiful Christmas Eve morning. And maybe you missed yesterday's riveting dismantling, a display of absolute artistry, if you will, in destroying a pious, elitist, fake leftist ally. I mean, the type that just has an amazing amount of unearned entitlement and a superiority complex born only of the acute onset of a Dunning-Kruger effect moment in their life. So if you missed it, go back and watch it after this, but here's some of the highlights.
Part 1. Why at Marlena Kennedy 4508 is a disgusting failure of an adult human being. Fuck her, and everything she believes in.
That's right. Fuck you, and everything you believe in. Marlena Kennedy 4508 says, "Please go read some political books." I do not need to read your quote-unquote political books to have an opinion on the country that sends the soldiers that I trained to the places where they were sent back in coffins, draped in flags, while much of their bodies and internal organs were buried on the sands from which they came back and never returned with them. How about this one? This is a political book, Marlena. Is this what you meant? Is this what you're looking for? You fucking fake leftist cornball. And the black mayor in New Bern, Alabama. Republicans don't want democracy. They want complete control. No fucking shit, Sherlock. That's what the video was about. I do read political books. It's just hard for you to imagine because you're a fucking racist who probably walks around and thinks that you're not one. That brings us to part 2. Marlena Kennedy. My stomach hurts thinking about your idiocy. You see? And that brings us here. Now, I've lost a lot of the bombast. I lost a lot of that excess anger. I got it all out, as you can tell. But there's still important things that need to be done. And a pretty hearty dismantling of this idiot's racism and her failure as a human being.
Part 2. Why at Marlena Kennedy 4508 is a racist sack of shit, and the worst kind of leftist Karen that represents the failure of our education system.
Today we need to talk about that part 2. Why is she such a racist sack of shit? And how is she the worst kind of leftist Karen that represents the failure of our education system? I'm going to start there because I know that it's hard for someone like her to believe I'm actually a teacher. I'm sure she didn't know that because I'm just a black guy in a hoodie before. Now I got a little jacket on. Black guy in a hoodie yelling expletives into a camera. I want to take us to the big reveal. What was it that let me know that she was a racist sack of shit? Is when I responded with this. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but it's up on the screen for you. And what it's saying is the two authors that she talked about, one of them having nothing to do with anything close to what the video was about, Monk. More importantly, what I said was said in a way that seemed like an intelligent human being, a well-read person. And we find out how this supposed leftist ally of ours harbors the most racist of views internally while walking around thinking that she's not one. In her response, here, this one I will read. Let's bring it up. Marlena frickin' Kennedy 4508 says, "You are not the man in the video. He is a puppet that you hide behind to attract a black audience. Nothing new. Another podcast attempting to get clicks and views. You absolute fucking idiot." It's Christmas Eve. I promise not to curse too much. But good and decent people of YouTube, what she's saying is the black guy on the video speaking loudly because he's a drill sergeant. Well, because he's entertaining. That black guy in a hoodie on the video, whose video you couldn't watch all the way through, there's no way that he's that well-read. And my Lanta's unfortunate mistake is that she doesn't know that I'm actually a teacher. So I love not only to read, but to educate. It's important to me. I know how to communicate ideas because I find that to be a necessary skill to have when you're teaching and molding young minds. What really education is about is not how many books you've read, but it's how you've been able to interpret your experiences, of which reading is one. For instance, let's take a look at my Audible, because I am dyslexic, so I love to listen to books more than just read them, although I have an extensive library. But if you see here, what a failing education system promotes is this idea that there is a such thing as a political book. Not saying that there's no such thing as poli-sci, political science, but the idea that you couldn't read any one of these books that you find in my Audible library and interpret a version, a deeper understanding of, or a new way of thinking about your politics through music, through art, through fiction, race, history, the study of civilization, the study of geography, science, all of these things. When you've become educated, you as the individual should be able to use to inform your politics. And your politics should be able to inform your parenting. Your parenting and what you learn should be able to inform your conversations, your religion, your art. Your understanding of science should be able to inform your everyday at some level. What we teach in this unfortunate place is how to pass a test. And learning how to pass a test gives people like Marlana the idea that because someone read political books, that means that they've done something, when it's the interpretation of the book that matters. My library is extensive, both physically and online. My Audible library is ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I have a couple books that I need to finish reading before they get rid of them, because I got them on the free parts of Audible. Free books, you gotta go for that. Free courses, I'm always learning. That's the difference. Education doesn't mean pass a test. Education is a way of thinking, a way of life. And if you take a look at my Audible library, I'm constantly taking courses that don't require a test at the end. The test is my life. The test is how I interpret the information and how it informs my discussion, my life, how I live it. It's easy to see when you're reaching and talking to someone else who is the opposite of that, who's a dummy, who's incurious. That's why she's a representation of the poor education part, because she has not been curious. Nothing about any of her stupid comments lets you know that she watched it all the way, that she was wondering what these people in the books actually talked about, that she even cared about the person who she was trying to disrespect in her foolishness comments about reading in books. And then her second stupid comment, which was about literally what the video was about. All of these things show that she's incurious, that she sees learning as a way to pass a test. And that's a failure of the system that she's learned in, and all the accolades that she's got. And this comment here, yeah, it's racist, but I want you, the viewer, to think of it differently before we go to part 3. It's racist because, of course, me, the black guy on TV, the hoodie, she's already made a judgment about what I've read and what I haven't. But here, guys, this is it. This is the meat. Here's the subtle, insidious racism implied in this comment. You're not the man in the video. He is a puppet that you hide behind to attract a black audience. So my face attracts that black audience. But implied in your ridiculously racist comment, fake ally, what made you think that eloquent, well-read person who's holding all the puppet strings isn't black? you racist piece of shit. You have no idea what they look like, but they're too smart, too well-read, too eloquent to have been the same color as the person they were puppeteering to get a black audience. You get it yet, you asshole? You get it yet, you fake ally? You leftist, pious, unread, uncouth failure? What makes you think my puppet master isn't black? I know what does. So do you now. But you won't admit it, because you're a Karen, and self-reflection is something you're incapable of. Part 3.
Part 3. Why at Marlena Kennedy 4508 is the perfect brain-dead twat to use in teaching the resistance a valuable lesson on rooting out fake allies.
This is for the resistance, right? How do we suss out a fake ally? How do we know how to vet someone who says they're with us, but is suspect, even if they're not suspect? First thing I did, of course, go to the YouTube page. And what do we see? How did I know that she's either a parent or a child? Well, let's take a look at this YouTube page. All we have here is lists of kids shows, at least in the beginning, and one here of classical music. That's strange. The type of person she is evident in this classical listing, because just like what you're listening to now, this list of classical music is just as mundane and as commercial, as pious and as fake as her original statement, read some political books, without not mentioning any or realizing that there's no such thing as political books. All of these commercial classical ideas aren't someone who listens to classical music because they enjoy it. They don't know these composers. They haven't figured out what a fugue is. They don't understand the difference between a symphony or a concerto. No, this is because it makes them look good, makes them seem smart. One of the elite, which they fail daily at really being a part of. I'm not sure why you'd want to be. But these are signs that there's a piousness and there's a front-facing Marlena and a real Marlena, which is what her kids watch. Now, here's the crazy thing. When you Google Marlena, there's no mention of it anywhere. Nowhere. This is a red flag. When you do this, immediately, this doesn't mean that the person is horrible or you have stopped vetting them, go away. But it means that for some reason, there is no mention of any Marlena. That's strange. Mariana, Marlena with one N, not with two. The only mention of Marlena with two N's is Rhapsody. Man, Kennedy, that's a popular name. Marlena, a song by Rhapsody, put it together. Is this a bot? Could be. We don't know. You have to be able to say that you don't know. But so far, what we're getting is fakeness upon fakeness. Then we look to the children. What do we have here? Look at this list. This list, actually, in the middle of it is a mistake. Drugs, cocaine, cartel? Amongst the kids list, who's watching this? How did that get in there? Marlena. I'm starting to think that there's more than one person that uses this, because if you're the one watching these kids' reality shows, then maybe you're the child. And if you're the child and your mother has left you to the wild woods of the internet by yourself, I'm sorry for you. All of this leads to an understanding of how to vet a pious, fake ally. Be wary of this in your resistance movement. If you are a part of my resistance, you've used the email, You've passed the vetting process and are a part of my resistance. Understand that these are tools. Look at it again. See what I did. Look at what I inferred and drew from what I saw. When it's time for you to vet your friends, close allies, who to let in, who not to. This is unacceptable. Be careful out there, guys. And I'm glad we could use this absolute a-hole on this Christmas Eve as a tool and an example of how to stay safe, how to suss out the fake allies out there. The resistance starts with us. January 20th is on its way, and I want to have a team ready, already moving by then. But we're going to vet you first. Share this. Press like, subscribe, get some merch. Share this. Share this. Let's go. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.